It's December 26th, 2022. I'm just kind of in my little honey house, just trying to straighten up some stuff. I've been painting some high bodies here. Been staining my cabinets that never got done. So I just thought I'd give a little review on a couple products my wife and I have. This is the Lyson automatic uncapper. We bought it about 1.5 years ago. I believe it's Boonville, Indiana, Dogwood Ridge Bees. I've talked with them for a good while and they treated me really right on this uncapper. So I bought it. Well, the thing about it is last year, the bees brought in so much nectar so fast, I was pulling frames to make room at 15.5%. So to tell you I know how it works, I can't because I haven't used it yet. I've run some dummy frames through it just to kind of get the feel of it. But hopefully this year things will be different and I'll be able to give you a good review on it. This is a mom and pop company, as I call them. Very nice people to work with. I suggest reaching out to them. Dogwood Ridge Bees, and I think it's Boonville, Indiana. I also toyed with the idea of making creamed honey, and I bought this from them as well. It's a Lyson automatic, well, it's a creamer. Again, they treated me really well, so I thought I'd give them some reviews. So, as most of you probably know, I'm pretty well a big Daden fan though. I started off using them because I got to know the manager. She's not there anymore, which I think is a bad deal. But this is the Daden 20 frame extractor. And I try to hook up everything so it can be in line with my bottling tank. So I did a lot of research, and you can't see it here, but where the valve comes off, I actually hook this ball valve to it and this discharge line, and then I hook it into a T which goes into this uncapping tank. Now I like this uncapping tank because it's really multi-useful. So you can uncap your honey with it, which has got the baskets down here, but after you're done with this, you can actually put one of their Watt Glow heaters into it. You can buy this grid, and you actually can decrystallize honey. So it really works well. So after it goes from the discharge line and the honey drains from here, it goes into this inlet port. And I want to point out, this is the drain for the water jacket. Now, one thing I didn't do the first year is I didn't put a ball valve on it. I just left the cap in it. Big mistake, because when I come to drain it, I don't have a floor drain. So then I'm trying to figure out how to drain it without it running all over my floor. So the next year I put a ball valve on it, and then actually it goes from pipe threads to a garden hose fitting right there. So the way this Daden uncapper works, and it's pretty messy, is the honey comes in here. The honey fills up, it goes in here, it goes back down, drains up this second compartment. This flap here is the same way. And after it fills this second compartment up, it drains into the third one, raises this float. After the float gets so high, the lines are set up, the cords are set up where it automatically comes out the bottom side, which is here. This discharge line goes into the honey pump. The honey pump kicks on and it pumps it straight up through a different hose I have, and I either can pump it into the holding tank or the bottling tank. Now on all my lines, I put a valve. This is for the drain of water. Again, it goes from a normal pipe thread to a garden hose. And on my fill valves, no matter what, I always use a second valve. I was cleaning my fittings. I'm not risking 70 gallons of honey with just a fill valve. So I put a ball valve on here, so I basically have double protection. The same way with this one. I was cleaning this one. It's got some water in it just so I can clean it. It's not the way I use it, but I got a ball valve here plus the bottling valve here. I really like these products, but the only thing I really don't like is it's like a lot of tanks. You know, you have all the honey that can be stored here, so you have to tilt the tank up, drain it out. It's kind of a pain. On the 70 gallon, I'll be honest with you, I don't really like the plastic lid. This is another screen here. I put a cheesecloth on the screen. That way, any wax that the uncapper loses or misses, it gets caught on the cheesecloth. Last year, I was just doing my own little test, and I didn't use cheesecloth on the holding tank. And at the very bottom of it, there might have been a couple wax floaties that I just used with a screen and cleaned it off. But for the most part, this Dayton clarifier does a fabulous job. One thing the 70 gallon is equipped for is I'm not sure what they call it, a mixing paddle. And that's what these holes are for here. But what I also found out is when there's a dearth, the bees figure out how to get into this building. And I did have some bees find out how to get through that hole. And when I got down, you know, when I started looking about draining the rest of it, there was probably 15 or 20 bees that actually were in there. So I'm going to have to figure that out for this spring. These watt glows are really nice, but they are not real accurate. They might be 10 degrees off from the time it kicks on to the time it kicks off. So I would definitely watch that. That's what makes it nice about the thermometer right here. Also, you know, we have the 25 gallon one, and it's got a plastic lid. Not really a fan of that. Just that's my opinion. I'm talking to the Dayton gentleman that makes them, and he's making me one, or he's going to make me one out of the 10 gallon that actually has this another valve, so I can use it to help clean my wax. So I'm not sure how many companies actually do that, but you know, I think he told me he's going to put it over here somewhere. He's got all that figured out. That's not my expertise. And he also can make me a slum gum screen with handles that go in there. So, excuse me. So what I really like about the Dayton stuff is the gentleman at the metal plant knows his stuff. Hooking all this stuff up was a really pain in the you know what. I was trying to figure it all out myself. I was trying to use barb fittings, and that worked great until I had to figure out how to take them apart and clean it. Pain in the you know what. So a friend of mine just happened to work for a company that does a lot of cleaning at Pepsi Cola and soft drink places. Well, he turned me on to tri-clamp fittings. It's really the way to go. The gentleman that works at the Dayton metal plant, he knows a lot about it as well, and he talked me through a lot. So I don't know everything, but I have learned a lot. Like this, the gentleman gave this to me because he had it left over, and I thought, man, it's a flexible line. It's going to work really well. Except when I started draining my honey, it's only about 3/4 of an inch OD. So it doesn't work very well. These, you know, are about 1.5 inches. So last year, this was coming off my extracting tank, and it was definitely the bottleneck. So what I have found, trying to learn all this myself, this is pretty well all the extra fittings that I bought most of them, not all of them, from trial and error. So if you have questions on tri-clamp fittings, there's the gentleman at the metal plant. I'm not going to give his name out, but because I don't have permission for that, but he's a really intelligent guy. So I thought I'd throw this out there. Hope everybody has a great, if they have the second day off after Christmas, Merry Christmas.